Unlike your ability to sleep at night, the Epstein scandal will not go away. The president denied that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed him that his name was in the Epstein file. So naturally, last night, the Wall Street Journal reported that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed the president that his name was in the Epstein files.
In the ruthless arena of real power, coincidence is a fairy tale for the naive. Every move, even the ones dressed up as random twists of fate, is a deliberate stroke in a grand, shadowy design, and those perched at the top, they'd set the whole chessboard ablaze before letting the public glimpse the full picture. So when Stephen Colbert, a razor-tongued satirist who spent years gutting the powerful with precision, suddenly sees his show ripped from the airwaves, understand this, it's not just business. It's a ritual sacrifice, a strategic kill meant to protect something infinitely darker. That first domino didn't fall by accident. It was shoved. And if you trace the tumbling pieces to their final, inevitable crash, you'll land at the festering secret the elite would rather die than expose. The one binding Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein.
I, for one, was shocked. What are you going to tell me next? That the Pope is in the Catholic files? That a bear is on the cover of this month's Modern Woods Pooper? So we don't know. No. Please, make me earn it. So, we don't know if he was doing the creepy crime, but we do have a cover-up. And just like the cover-up on his face, it is patchy, and there's some really ugly under there.
Colbert crossed the one line you can never cross in the world of power. He committed the ultimate sin. He didn't hint. He didn't dance around it. He didn't dress it up in polite language. He dropped the mask, looked straight into the camera, and fired the truth like a bullet. No filter, no mercy. He named the monster. He called it exactly what it was, a big fat bribe, and the brutal truth. He was dead on. One colossal payoff, so obvious, so damning, that just speaking it out loud was enough to sign his own professional death warrant. 2 words, and the hammer came down. But to understand why the hit was so immediate, so ruthless, you have to rewind, way back to the rotting heart they're desperate to keep sealed away. This isn't a single shady deal. It's an entire subterranean web of secret bargains, filthy favors, and sins so toxic that the silence of those who know is more chilling than any confession could ever be.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Okay, that's a slam dunk. Just say no. Okay, take it away, Jeffrey.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Wow. Not a great sign when the pedophile is being asked if you're doing a pervert ride-along, and their response is, I'd like to invoke the entire Constitution, the Magna Carta, the Napoleonic Code, and just to cover my bases, let's throw in the entire Cheesecake Factory menu.
That silence isn't empty. It's deafening. It roars louder than any confession, blazing like a neon warning sign in the dark. Cover up, collusion. All the way to the top. It's so brazen, so nakedly obvious, that even the government, experts at pretending not to see, start to squirm in their chairs. The air gets hotter, the pressure spikes, and suddenly even a committee overflowing with loyal Republicans, the see no evil here, no evil loyalists, can't quite muster the nerve to pretend the Everest of evidence in front of them doesn't exist.
In this story is that soon we may be able to see Trump's name in those files for ourselves, because last night, in defiance of the president with a Republican majority, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena all documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case in a vote of 8-2. 8-2, as in, boy, I would 8-2 be Trump right now.
Just when it feels like this story has already hit the ceiling of madness, Jeffrey Epstein's own brother, Mark Epstein, storms in and shatters it. He doesn't just speak, he detonates the truth. And the real reason those two split? Forget morals. Forget righteous outrage or some brave stand against corruption. None of that fairy tale nonsense. What he reveals is colder, dirtier, and miles away from anything resembling integrity.
The president made a big deal about how he broke off the relationship with Jeffrey Epstein a long time ago. But according to Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey said he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook. Wow!
Mark Epstein? Oh, he took it a step further, laid it all out, just blew up every little attempt by Trump to distance himself from his old buddy. No room for backpedaling. No, we barely knew each other routine.
They were good friends. It's documented that Donald flew on Jeff's plane a number of times. I don't know if they ever checked, but I know Jeff flew on Donald's plane.
Right. I keep forgetting. In all of this, Trump had his own plane. If you have your own plane, why would you ever hitch a ride with a sex creep?
And then came the reveal about Trump's so-called side gigs, thanks to yet another explosive revelation from Mark Epstein. What it uncovered was a disturbing glimpse into the mind of a man who held the most powerful office on the planet, yet treated it like nothing more than a stage prop for indulging in his own twisted, morally bankrupt pastimes.
I was talking to Jeffrey, and he told me that he was talking to Donald, and he asked Donald, how come you sleep with so many married women? And Donald's answer was, because it's so wrong.
And when he finally got cornered, Donald pulled out the most awkward, bizarre excuse ever, seriously. It's one for the history books. A meltdown so confusing you almost have to admire the self-sabotage.
By the way, I never went to the island. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
I'm sorry, what? What? You never had the privilege of going to Epstein's island? Sadly, I never had the honor of dining with Jeffrey Dahmer.
And when he was finally cornered with nowhere to run, Donald unleashed an excuse so painfully awkward, so mind-twistingly absurd, it defied belief. This wasn't just bizarre, it was legendary. A full-blown verbal derailment, lurching from confusion to catastrophe, so spectacularly self-destructive you couldn't help but gape in stunned fascination at the train wreck he built with his own two hands.
On Thursday and Friday of last week, something totally normal happened. Trump sent his Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who also happened to be his personal defense attorney during the Stormy Daniels trial, to interview Epstein's convicted co-conspirator and Trump's double date partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. To make it even more normal, after the second meeting, Maxwell was seen carrying this box. Nothing suspicious about that. I'm sure they give all convicted sex traffickers with a decades-long connection to Donald Trump a box. She got a box.
It's those kinds of secrets. The twisted excuses, the poisonous alliances, the witness accounts trembling on the edge of explosion, that send the silencing machine roaring to life. That massive payoff. That was just the opening shot. What followed wasn't some chaotic scramble. It was a precision strike. A cold, calculated cover-up lifted straight from the elite's playbook. The instruction manual for killing a dangerous truth. Paramount, with an $8 billion merger on the line, made its choice without blinking. Bury the truth, protect the money. They didn't simply cancel their sharpest critic. They offered him up as a sacrifice on the twin altars of profit and political protection. The cost of that silence, not only erasing a voice that dared to defy them, but also dropping $16 million on a lawsuit CB's itself admitted was totally baseless. You don't throw millions at a sham unless it's not really a settlement. It's a payoff, a gear in a much bigger machine. Pull back the curtain and the rot runs deeper. The trail leads straight into the steel and concrete of a federal prison where Ghislaine Maxwell sits atop a cache of secrets powerful enough to bring empires down. And that visit from Trump's personal lawyer, a man who just happened to also hold a top seat at the Department of Justice. That wasn't a friendly chat. That was an operation.
Because over the weekend he posted, wow, Comcast's NBC is down in viewership almost 28% this year. Their programming is terrible. Their management even worse. They are an arm of the Democrat Party and should be held accountable for that. Likewise, fake news, ABC, adding, in my opinion, their licenses could and should be revoked. MAGA.
The box. On the outside, it's nothing. Just cardboard and tape. But in a scandal like this, it's a Pandora's chest stuffed with 1,000 dangerous possibilities. What's inside? A veiled threat, a promise of a debt to be collected later, or maybe just one chilling message scrawled on a scrap of paper. Stay silent. Forever. We may never know the truth, But arriving with that box in this context isn't just suspicious. It's a blaring siren in neon red. It's proof the powerful aren't merely hunkering down in defense. They're in the field, moving pieces, muzzling witnesses, curating the flow of information with their own hands. This is high-level crisis management executed in the shadows. And to keep the public's gaze elsewhere, they unleash the chaos machine. While the real deals are inked in dark backrooms and couriers slip through side doors, Donald Trump storms the stage, picking fights with every major news outlet. CBs, bring them puppets of the Democrat Party, and demanding their licenses be torn away. It's distraction as an art form, noise weaponized to bury the signal.
We're going to make this industry absolutely the top, because right now it's a beautiful baby that's born. We have to grow that baby and let that baby thrive. We can't stop it. We can't stop it.
Totally normal way to talk about baby. That's why they sell those balloons that say, it's a boy, and you can't stop it, you can't stop it.
He deliberately fashions himself into an outrage magnet, sucking up every ounce of attention like it's oxygen. Exactly how he thrives. And while the masses stay hypnotized by the chaos, he drifts into these rambling, disjointed tirades about artificial intelligence, sprawling, overcomplicated, and dripping with jargon. It's not insight, it's camouflage. A thick, choking fog of words designed to drown the truth, bury the real crises, and keep the public stumbling in the dark while the real damage gets done behind the curtain.
Finally, some moral backbone. He did something inappropriate, and that was?
He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me.
Sorry, Jeff, underage sex trafficking is one thing, but I draw the line at you stealing my omelet man, okay?
It's the dirtiest move in the power game. Unleash a hurricane of noise so deafening that the real signal is drowned in chaos. While the public squabbles over soundbites or his latest televised brawl with the press, the cover-up machine hums relentlessly in the shadows, cutting deals, gagging witnesses, and shoveling dirt over the truth until it's buried deep. And at the rotten core of it all sits the one truth they're desperate to keep chained. What's really inside the Epstein files? What Jeffrey Epstein may have already whispered. What Jeffrey Epstein may have already whispered. What Ghislaine Maxwell still guards like a loaded weapon. And Trump's reason for breaking up with Epstein. Not the predatory crimes. Not the trafficking of minors. No. A petty business spat. That's it. That's the line in the sand. And it tells you, with chilling clarity, exactly where his morals begin and end, and how little humanity has to do with it.
Well, like Epstein said, he inherited him in the divorce. He said, basically, you're going to see us together all the time. We're fixtures, because in the divorce, I inherited Trump and Ghislaine inherited Ivana. So he said, you're not going to see him at the house the way you see Ivana, and you're not going to see her at the offices the way you see Trump. And, it was just, it was a known thing, like among the staff and everyone, that they were best friends. And Epstein bragged about it.
This isn't just the story of a cancelled show. It's the blueprint of a power system that will scorch the earth, torch the truth, and crush anyone in its path to protect itself. Stephen Colbert yanked on the wrong thread, and now the immaculate weave of the cover-up is fraying for all to see. The stage is set, packed with every major player. Billion-dollar corporations, shadow-soaked government agencies, political kingmakers, each performing their role in a script written to keep the truth buried forever. And the only question worth asking is, how far will they go to make sure daylight never touches it? Maxwell's mystery box. Just one ominous fragment. Paramount's multi-million-dollar purchase of silence. Another. And Colbert's silenced voice. That's not just a career casualty. It's a glaring warning sign to anyone reckless enough to pull on that same dangerous thread. At its core, this is a test of courage. whether we still have the will to defend real journalism, to spit truth in the face of power, to call out a man dismantling democracy in real time. Because if we don't, the next voice they choke into silence won't be a late-night host. And when Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of sex trafficking, one question still hung in the air like smoke. Did she have accomplices? Melania Trump's presence in Epstein's shadowy ecosystem is no longer guesswork, but the darker, more damning question remains. What was the role of the woman inherited alongside Trump, whose first intimate encounter allegedly unfolded aboard the notorious Lolita Express?
Where did you meet him?
We met in New York, 1996 in September. We met at the fashion party. It was a big fashion party that my friend organized, Fashion Week, and he invited me. That's how we met with Donald.
Did you like him immediately or not?
I like him. He had a great charm, but he arrived with the date.
In the world Melania walked into, relationships weren't born from love. They were negotiated like contracts, divided like property in a high-stakes divorce. It was a warped, predatory ecosystem where women weren't equals, but trophies collected, displayed, and passed between powerful men like currency. Inside this alliance, Trump and Epstein operated as a seamless unit, and the women in their orbit, Ghislaine and perhaps even Melania, were pieces on their chessboard. Ghislaine inherited Ivana. Epstein inherited Trump. This wasn't the language of friendship. It was the cold, transactional language of ownership, and it leaves one haunting question. If Ghislaine's job was to recruit for Epstein, then what was the purpose of the woman inherited alongside Trump? The carefully crafted fairy tale Melania spent decades perfecting is now buckling under the weight of the truth. She sold the world a polished fantasy, a chance meeting at a glamorous New York Fashion Week party in 1998. But that was a story built for cameras and headlines, a glossy facade hiding a far darker origin that now threatens to rip the mask away completely.
Epstein knows her well. Epstein says the first time Donald Trump and Melania have sex is on his airplane. So this is another complicated dimension in this. Where does she fit into the Epstein story? Where does she fit into this whole culture of models of indeterminate age?
The truth, pieced together from hard evidence, eyewitness accounts, and contemporary reporting, shatters Melania's glossy fairy tale. That so-called fashion party she romanticized wasn't some elegant Manhattan soiree. It was Club Kit Kat, one of New York's most infamous nightclubs, the kind of place where the elite didn't come to admire fashion, but to shop, not for designer gowns, but for flesh. It was a human marketplace where young models, many fresh from Eastern Europe, were paraded like high-end merchandise, inspected, appraised, and claimed. And the host, not an anonymous friend, but Paolo Zampoli, a power broker who built an empire turning beauty into currency. Under Trump's presidency, Zampoli would be rewarded with a diplomatic post. He wasn't simply a party organizer. He was the gatekeeper, the broker, the man who funneled women like Melania straight into the reach of men like Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. This wasn't nightlife. It was a recruitment pipeline, polished and discreet. The machinery was already running. In 1997, a year before Melania's so-called fateful meeting, Trump was seen partying with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. British tabloids reported that the newly divorced Trump had become infatuated with a 20-year-old British model introduced to him by none other than Ghislaine Maxwell, notorious for providing Trump with attractive young friends. This wasn't chance. It was a pattern, a fully operational system. Maxwell supplied the women. Zampoli supplied the models. And Melania, a Zampoli import from Eastern Europe, just happened to appear at one of those gatherings, where she just happened to meet Trump, Epstein's close friend. The puzzle pieces clicked together with a precision too cold and too exact to be coincidence. Not a love story, but the terms of a transaction. And the origin of this marriage. It carries a darker taint still, marked by the words of the network's own architects. This isn't merely a question of morality. It plants the roots of their union squarely in the heart of a criminal empire.
To you, I mean, you sort of alluded to that as well. Is that what it is to you? Just locker room talk?
Yeah, it's kind of two teenage boys. And sometimes I said, I have two boys at home. I have my young son and I have my husband. So, but I know how some men talk.
She didn't just fall into a relationship. She was remade inside Epstein's criminal machine, baptized into its darkness aboard the infamous Lolita Express. In that moment, she stopped being a bystander and became an insider, inducted from day one into a world where power and depravity were currency. What did she see in those shadows? What truths did she absorb? And, most chilling of all, how far did her own hands reach into the machinery? This wasn't some vague modeling scene with a few questionable birthdays. That term was a mask, a sanitized label for the very product Epstein and Ghislaine trafficked. Then, as if on cue, a transformation worthy of fiction unfolded the moment she crossed into Trump's orbit. The nude model was suddenly rebranded, in the eyes of the US government, as a genius. She was granted an Einstein visa, the fast lane to citizenship reserved for Nobel laureates, Pulitzer winners, and industry giants. And her extraordinary talent, posing for men's magazines. The math only works if you call it what it was. A transaction. She delivered beauty, silence, and unwavering compliance. The system delivered citizenship, an exchange so audacious it should ignite fury in every American who fought and sacrificed to earn theirs honestly. Her survival instincts were forged in scandal's fire, honed until razor sharp. When the Access Hollywood tape detonated, revealing Trump bragging about sexual assault, she didn't recoil. She didn't hesitate. She stepped into the spotlight and brushed it off as locker room talk. That wasn't devotion. It was strategy. The icy, calculated move of a business partner guarding her most profitable investment.
Okay, well, two points. She never is by his side. You know, all of those courtroom appearances, did she show up once? You know, I report in my book that one of the aides approached her and she said, "Nice try," and then laughed. But, and this is probably for further food, you know, she was very involved in this Epstein relationship.
She wasn't shielding her husband. She was guarding an asset. A brand that had built her life, her status, her fortune. That icy survival instinct flared again when the Stormy Daniels scandal erupted. Yet her wrath didn't fall on the man who humiliated her. No! It zeroed in on Vogue magazine for daring to blemish her image by printing the story. For Melania, morality isn't a guiding principle. It's a luxury item reserved for those with nothing on the line. Her trinity is clear: image, power, survival. But now the Epstein bomb has detonated, and this is no tabloid affair. It's a federal criminal case involving the trafficking of minors, with tentacles wrapped around some of the most powerful names in America. A threat not just to Trump's survival, but to hers. Her silence now is a weapon. It's no longer the stillness of grace. It's the calculated stillness of a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike or vanish. Her absence from the courtroom isn't apathy. It's precision. A strategic withdrawal, a shield raised high, as the empire she helped fortify begins to collapse into ash around her.
Should there be an investigation or a special counsel investigation?
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I just find them guilty No, publicly. I mean, that's not over the top either. I'm ready. I'm over it. I'm big on clarity and transparency, and that's good reason people don't trust government, either party.
But you don't believe what the Justice Department is saying?
I don't know. No, I don't. I think.
Not bad at all. 4 simple words tossed out with a chuckle. Yet they drip with calculation. Beneath that offhand remark lies a deliberate maneuver, a quiet repositioning to slip free from the blast radius of the legal explosion closing in on her scandal-stained husband. Her betrayal won't arrive with cameras rolling and microphones waiting. It will be surgical, silent, funneled through whispered leaks, bartered in sealed rooms, traded like currency for her own immunity. She'll rewrite the fairy tale once more, but this time the script flips. Trump will no longer be the prince she clung to. He'll be the villain she claims to have outwitted and escaped. She'll step into the role of the wronged woman, the survivor. But the real victims of this brutal game of power aren't the Trumps. They're the American people. Their trust in the legal system and the government has been gutted, hollowed out until nothing remains but cynicism. They see the ugly reality of a 2-tier system, where a model can be handed an Einstein visa on a silver platter while working families claw through economic crisis with no relief. That anger isn't gone. It's burning slow, deep, and hot. All it needs now is a single spark to erupt into an inferno.
How does this affect me? They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him, and now hate him. Thank you, media.
In the end, this story isn't just about Epstein or Trump or Melania. It's about the machinery that protects them. A system where power shields itself, where truth is bartered away, and where the players who survive aren't the most virtuous, but the most ruthless. From secret flights to whispered deals, from corporate payoffs to calculated silences, every thread we've pulled leads back to the same rotten core. And now, as the facade cracks and the truth pushes against the walls they've built, the question isn't whether this empire of lies will fall. It's who will be standing when it does, and how much of America's soul will be left in the rubble. When faith in institutions dies, people don't wait for justice. They go hunting for it themselves. The Epstein storm hasn't just stripped the masks off the elite. It's split open the fragile core of America, revealing fractures that cut straight to the bone. And in that chaos, survival doesn't crown the strongest. It crowns the most ruthless, the most cold-blooded, the ones willing to play the long game without blinking. Melania Trump has mastered that art. She was never the ornamental trophy history books will try to paint her as. She's a player, fluent in the rules, skilled at bending them until they break. Which forces the question in this brutal chess match for power. Is she a pawn to be moved, or the hidden queen, perfectly veiled, biding her time for the moment to strike? She wasn't the only young woman Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly funneled toward Trump. This wasn't luck. This wasn't chance. It was a system, deliberate, organized, and repeated. And now, every name tied to those secret parties, Trump, Maxwell, Epstein, lies buried under a landslide of damning accusations. So we have to ask, why do Trump's closest relationships keep orbiting the same dark trio? Controversial women, shadow-soaked parties, and foreign models? This is no eccentric lifestyle. It's a blueprint. And now, that blueprint is burning in public view. This isn't just a scandal. It's an indictment. And Melania stands dead center. The fatal blow to Donald Trump may not come from a rival across the aisle. It may come from the partner who built this empire of deceit at his side. The one who knows every secret and now faces the razor-sharp choice between going down with him or saving herself. America is staring into the abyss, a truth too dark to look away from. a truth about the rot at the heart of its ruling class. Trust has been obliterated, and when the dust settles, survival won't belong to the strong. It will belong to the most merciless. The last act of this story won't just topple a man. It will leave a scar on the political soul of the nation. And here, in a country fractured to its core, drowning in lies from every channel, steps Michael Moore, filmmaker, agitator, truth teller. From the Rust Belt, he's watched a New York real estate mogul march into the land of the forgotten, selling them a dream he knew was nothing but a scam. This con wasn't born overnight. It was cultivated, perfected, weaponized long before the Oval Office. Trump didn't just ride the wave of fake news. He built the tide.